Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's presentation on Where is my data? My name is Heidi Harding, and I am the User Analyst with ITS. Today we're going to be looking at data, all the information, data, documents, files, and so on that you might be working with on your computer and saving somewhere. The goal of this session is to help you navigate the increasingly diverse set of data storage options available at the University of New Brunswick. In today's session, we'll look at what those data storage options are, how you can access those services, and some common situations that you may find yourself in. Along the way, we're also going to take a closer look at some of the newer services that have become available through Office 365 and what impact things like syncing have on where our data is located. There are many options for data storage at UNB. When I take a look at my computer, I can save things to my desktop or my local disk, the C drive. I also have access to my H drive, my bulk drive, my shared drive, and anything else that my department or unit may have set up. I can also use OneDrive. Sometimes I see it called OneDrive for Business. Then there's SharePoint. The version I usually see is SharePoint at UNB, and O365 Groups. The exact options that will be available to you will vary based on what groups you're a part of. Which faculties or departments are you a part of? Are you a member of different research groups or project teams or committees? Either way, you're going to see different things. And this means that every individual user has a unique set of options. And that's a pretty exciting and powerful thing. We have a lot of choice in what tools we use, but it can also make support a bit more difficult. I can't just go to the next desk over and say, hey, where's this file? And have my office mate say, hey, it's the third folder down, because we might be seeing different folders. The third folder down for her might actually be the fifth or sixth folder down for me. Or I may not have access to it at all. So it can make things a little bit more complicated. And that's why the question, where is my data, is a very valid one. As a quick disclaimer, you may also use other storage options which are not supported by UNB or ITS. These will not be covered in today's presentation. So with all of these data storage services available to us, how do we access them? The My UNB portal is our one-stop shop for almost all of our file storage needs. The email link will take us directly to the Outlook web app, or OWA. It's probably the easiest way to check our UNB email. All you need is an internet connection, and you can visit this site and see your emails. From the Outlook web app, you can reach other tools that are available through O365. By clicking on the waffle, you can see the full list of services that you have access to. You can also get more help by clicking on the question mark icon in the top corner. You can also access any O365 groups that you've had shared with you or created yourself. Through the My UNB portal, you can also access your Office 365 or O365 tools and services directly. By clicking on the link in the launch menu, you'll see the Office 365 online dashboard, which again shows you all of the tools and services that you have access to that you would see by clicking on the waffle in the Office web app. You can also access documents recently saved, pinned, or shared with you through OneDrive, and create new documents, upload files, or access those other O365 tools. You can also access Microsoft Help resources by clicking on the question mark icon. In the top corner, you can also install Office 2016 on up to 5 personal devices for free. At this point, it's worth noting that all data saved in O365 products is stored in the Canadian Microsoft data centers. Through the My UNB portal, we can also access the Virtual Private Network, or VPN. The VPN allows you to connect to the UNB network and services from off-campus. When I click on the link in the launch menu, I'll see this screen. More likely, you've had Pulse Secure, the VPN tool, installed on your computer. If you're a Windows user, when you click on your Start menu, you can start up Pulse Secure and connect. If you're a Mac user, you'll also see Pulse Secure, a little bit of a different look, but the same program, available through the Applications section of Finder. In the Launch menu, you also have access to My Files, a tool which allows off-campus access to the H drive and any shared or departmental drives like the P drive or J drive that you may have access to. Now that we've taken a look at how to access some of these services, let's take a look at some of the situations we might find ourselves in. Case 1. I'm working on a file no one else needs to access or work on. So this could be a draft or some individual work, maybe course notes or personal reminders, PDF downloads or screenshots. My default is probably to save this to my computer desktop or My Documents, but is this the best option? There are some questions I'd ask myself. Do I want to be able to access this from another device? Saving to my desktop or computer can make it really hard to access something from another device, but there are ways it can be done more easily. If I save to my H drive, I can technically access things through My Files, but OneDrive gives me an even easier experience. I'd also ask myself, is this a temporary file or do I want to keep it? Once again, your desktop or C drive probably isn't the best place for it. If your computer ever crashes, is infected with some sort of virus or malware, there's no backup. OneDrive and other O365 services are backed up by Microsoft. The UNB drives, including your H drive, shared drive, and bulk drives, are backed up by ITS. You'd also want to consider, are there any privacy or security concerns with this data? In general, you won't want very secure or private information saved to your desktop. All it takes is walking away and leaving your computer unlocked, and suddenly everyone could be looking at the files. Your department or unit may also have its own requirements on where data should be stored. You may also want to ask, will I want to share this eventually? OneDrive is a very easy way to share your files, much easier than something you have on your desktop. So now I've said the word OneDrive a lot, but what is OneDrive? OneDrive is a file storage tool that allows us 5 terabytes of space, so there's a lot of room in there. It gives us much easier access to all of our files and documents and data. You can access anything you've saved to OneDrive through the Outlook web app or O365 online, or through various OneDrive apps for Android, Apple, and Windows phones. You can access this without ever needing the VPN. OneDrive also allows you to share files directly. There's no need to move them anywhere. You can also see exactly what you've shared and with who. You'll see there's a column right on screen that says sharing and tells me if it's just me who's seeing it or if I've shared it. I can also share things with people who are external to UNB. I can also edit documents directly in my internet browser using the Microsoft web apps. And those also allow me to co-author on documents. For more information about sharing in OneDrive and the co-author feature, come to our next presentation, How Do I Share My Data? So you may say, how do I use OneDrive? Microsoft Help is built right into Office 365 Online. Just click the question mark icon and type in OneDrive. You'll see here that 44 articles have popped up in my Help section. I also strongly recommend visiting the Microsoft Office Support OneDrive Help Center. This is an excellent website. It has extensive OneDrive resources. They've done a really good job here. There are featured training videos that will help you get started, or if you already are comfortable with OneDrive, there's tips and tricks to help you become an even better user. You may also want to check out our ITS Tidbits blog post on OneDrive, or contact the IT Service Desk if you have any questions. Maybe you've seen this message before. If you've tried to use OneDrive and you've been in the situation where you've been trying to edit a document, some other file, from OneDrive in a desktop copy of Word or Excel or one of the other Microsoft products, and it won't let you open it, what are you supposed to do? The answer to this particular problem is to upgrade to Office 2016 through the UNB Software Center. Please note that upgrading through the UNB Software Center is separate and different from those personal copies of Office 2016 that were available through the Office 365 online portal. I would recommend speaking to your Level 1 or the IT Service Desk for support before upgrading if you have any questions. Situation 2. I'm supposed to read meeting minutes for a committee I'm part of. Well, once again, there's some questions I would ask. Are there any privacy or security concerns with this data? And is it directly related to the university? Files with confidential data should not be shared by email, and data related directly to the university will probably be found in shared network drives or SharePoint at UNB. In general, if you're part of a committee and you're thinking, where are my meeting minutes? Think about what you've been given access to. Is there a shared drive or a specific SharePoint site for this committee? Which means I should talk a bit about SharePoint at UNB. SharePoint at UNB is a somewhat limited service right now where we're offering SharePoint team sites that allow you to store data directly in our UNB data center in the SharePoint program. This is a great place for information that relates to the university, or if it has requirements that data storage has to be on campus. It can be shared with students and individuals at other New Brunswick and PEI institutions through the ECN, or Educational Computing Network Partnership. If you've had a SharePoint at UNB site shared with you, you would have received an email with a link to follow that will take you to the site. The invitation should come from your site owner, who is your main point of contact for that site. If you have any questions about SharePoint at UNB, or you'd like to learn more about if it's the right tool for you, contact the IT Service Desk at itservicedesk@unb.ca. Situation 3. I'm working on a document shared with my department or research group. This could be, a regulation, a procedure, some kind of departmental documentation, forms or templates, project-related documents. There's a wide variety of things that fit into this category. And I'd ask myself some questions. Are there any privacy or security concerns with this data? And is the file related directly to the university? As I've said before, you want to make sure information like that is not being sent by email. Email attachments are not secure. You should not email documents with confidential data, such as account numbers, student numbers, or personal information. In general, university data is usually stored in shared drives or may be stored in SharePoint at UNB. So ask yourself which storage options have my department, faculty, unit, or research group selected and set up for use. There are many options, so you'll want to find out which ones you have access to and what they should be used for. I would also ask myself, does this file need to be retained for some sort of record purposes, or am I the owner? If a document is just for me, it's probably fine to have it in my H drive or OneDrive, but if the document needs to be kept by my department and is owned by, my research group, I'd probably not want to have it in a single person's H drive or OneDrive. It's very easy to lose important information that way. If you're a Windows user, you can access your shared drives through the little Windows Explorer icon in the bottom corner by your Start menu, and take a look for the bulk and shared drives. Usually it's J and P. This may be somewhat different for you depending on what groups you're a part of and what you have specific access to. For Mac users, the process is much the same. You take a look in Finder, and those same options of a shared drive, your H drive, should appear. Depending on the type of group that you have, an O365 group may be the ideal storage location. It's a good fit for small groups, ad hoc groups, things with a more limited scope. Examples could be a special interest group looking for a space for discussions and sharing interesting resources. Or if you're setting up a departmental conference with non-UNB conference collaborators. The time period is pretty short. The information's not confidential. This is a great way to share information. For example, our own IT service desk staff use an O365 group to share updates. Groups created in Outlook through the Outlook web app send email updates when a group member adds to the Conversations tab and include a group notebook based in OneNote, a calendar, and space for files. O365 Groups allows shared file storage. If you've been invited to join a group, you may find shared documents here. Like documents stored in OneDrive, these files can be opened and edited in the web apps. You can learn more about groups using the Microsoft Help tool in the Outlook web app or Office 365 online, or visit the Microsoft Office support website and search for groups. Also watch for our upcoming Tidbits blog post on getting started with O365 groups. Situation 4. I synced my OneDrive to my computer. Where is my data now? There are some questions I'd ask myself. Is it a full sync of all OneDrive files to my computer, or is it limited to specific folders? Do I have more data in OneDrive than my computer has space for? Do I have a personal OneDrive account? Should all of my files be backed up to my OneDrive account? These might be fairly big questions. So before we try to answer them, let's step back for a moment and take a look at what it means to sync your OneDrive account. Any file saved to your OneDrive is available at any time and on any device through the Outlook web app and Office 365 online or through OneDrive apps available for your mobile devices. These platforms allow you to view and make changes to your document instantly. You work directly with the copy saved in the cloud. But what is the cloud? A magical mystery? Our data floating around in the air above our heads? No, not really. Cloud storage means that information is being stored on computer networks and servers, often in several different data centers. In this case, the files stored in the O365 cloud are being stored in the Canadian Microsoft network, with data centers in Quebec and Toronto. When you want to work on a file through OneDrive Online or one of the OneDrive apps, you are actually accessing the file that is saved in those data centers through your internet connection. Syncing your OneDrive to your computer means that you can work on your files saved to OneDrive directly from your computer, even when you're offline. This means that an actual copy of your file gets saved to your computer, just like there are copies saved in the data centers. When you make a change to the copy of the file saved to your computer, that change gets communicated back to the copy of the file in the cloud the next time you connect to the internet. Similarly, if you made a change to the file using a OneDrive app on your phone, that change will get communicated or synced back to the copy saved on your computer through the internet. If you have an important file on your computer that you decide to upload to OneDrive, let's say by dragging and dropping it into OneDrive Online, a copy now exists in the Microsoft data centers. If you don't delete your original file, that copy will still continue to exist on your computer as well. If your OneDrive is synced to your computer, you'll be able to see the synced copy of your document in your OneDrive folder and the original document you had on your desktop or in your My Documents folder. Only the copy that's saved to OneDrive will sync. As you can see here on screen, there's two versions of the same file, one in My Documents library and one in my OneDrive folder. This situation can get particularly messy if you drag and drop entire folder structures. If your folder and files are named exactly the same way, it can be easy to get lost. Here we have two My Documents folders containing the same folders and files. One is my original, here at the top, and it's not syncing. The other is syncing through my OneDrive. But I'm so deep into my folders that I can't see that I'm in my OneDrive folder. If I look at them on screen, the paths look the same. My Documents, O365 Demo, Test Folder 1. How do I tell the difference? I could use the icons. A folder that is not syncing has no little icon attached to it. If a folder is syncing and is in progress, it has a little circle with blue arrows going round and round. If my sync is complete, I get a green check mark. So I can use these to help me decide if I'm in a synced folder or not. But what about when I'm in a rush? This is a pretty small detail to have to watch out for. To make it a bit easier for yourself, consider renaming your synced folders and consider cutting back on your folder structure. In this example, you'll see that rather than moving over my entire My Documents folder, I've moved over my O365 Demo folder, and I've actually renamed it to Synced O365 Demo. Beyond that, the content inside is fairly similar. I might want to consider renaming these files to reflect that they're synced as well, or delete the originals. You may also want to consider limiting your syncs to just the folders that you're working with most frequently. This would leave the rest of your files and folders in the cloud and available at any time on any device with an internet connection through OneDrive Online. There's a little caveat. If you drag and drop your file and the original document is no longer in that original folder, then only your synced copy exists. This can happen when you move the file rather than copying it over into OneDrive, which is the default when you drag and drop into your internet browser, but may not be the case when you're working right in Windows Explorer or Finder. Now that I've mentioned Finder, OneDrive can be downloaded onto Macs and syncs work the same way. You can access the OneDrive folder through Finder instead of Windows Explorer. So, there are some pros and cons to syncing. Some of the pros are that you can access your files anytime, even without an internet connection. You can save files directly to OneDrive from the Office products, and you can manage, delete, and share files in OneDrive directly on your desktop. There are also cons. A full sync can take time to complete and resync each time you switch your internet connection. A synced file that is deleted on one device is deleted everywhere. And OneDrive does have more storage space than most computers. So remember how we had the same file saved twice on my computer? Or even the same folder with multiple files inside? There was the original location and then the second copy in my synced OneDrive. If all of my files are doing this, I do have the ability to fill up my computer's memory because everything is duplicated. So considering all these facts, what are those top tips for syncing? Avoid syncing your backup folders and copies if you have not deleted your original files. Consider syncing only your active folders, just the minimum amount of content. Avoid duplicating your exact file structure and names between the Documents folder on your computer and your synced OneDrive. Share OneDrive files through the Office 365 online interface or OneDrive apps on mobile. Sharing through Windows Explorer and Finder can be done, but is significantly less user-friendly. The interface is not nearly as clear and well-developed as the one available through OneDrive Online, so it can be a bit trickier to figure out exactly what permissions you're giving people to your stuff. Finally, expect differences. Depending on your operating system, the version of Microsoft Office you're running, the various drives you have access to, and the folder structures you've created on your computer, you may see some differences. What worked for the person at the next desk over may not work for you. If you're not comfortable or sure how to tackle this, speak with your level 1 or contact the IT service desk. You may be in the situation where you've tried to sync and now you're seeing Windows security errors. You have some of these lovely pop-ups appearing on your screen. Similar to the OneDrive issue we discussed earlier, the fix is to upgrade to Office 2016 through the UNB Software Center. And again, consider speaking with your level 1 or the IT service desk if you'd like some support. It's also worth noting that OneDrive syncing is best in Windows 10, where the OneDrive app is already pre-installed. So let's give these questions one more try. We recommend that you limit your sync to specific folders, but your OneDrive sync setup may default to a full sync. Make sure you choose the options that are best for you while setting up a OneDrive sync. You may not know exactly how much space your computer has available. If you aren't sure, contact your level 1 or the IT service desk for help and advice before you sync. If you have a personal OneDrive account, know that it is separate from your UNB OneDrive account. And as to whether all of your files should be backed up to OneDrive, this one is up to you and should be made after asking yourself some of the questions we've discussed earlier in this presentation. If this is a shared document, should it be saved to a shared drive or a SharePoint site? Is there any confidential or UNB related data? If so, choose your tool carefully. Where should I go for instructions on syncing? Look out for our upcoming ITS Tidbits blog post on how to sync your OneDrive, or try Microsoft Help or contacting the IT service desk or your level 1, or once again, take a look at the Office Support OneDrive Help Center site. It really does have some excellent resources and videos to help you walk through how to set up a sync. Situation 5. I'm saving a document in Microsoft Word on my desktop and have multiple OneDrive and SharePoint options. Where am I saving my file? Some questions I'd ask. Have you synced your OneDrive account to your computer? If you haven't, you probably aren't saving there. Do you have a personal OneDrive account? And do you have access to SharePoint at UNB sites or any O365 group sites? So what does this look like? By default, I look at this PC and I can see my desktop and I can actually see my OneDrive here. So my OneDrive folder is showing up as being on my PC. I also have the option of saving to OneDrive through that top OneDrive - University of New Brunswick option. Sites - University of New Brunswick will take me to my O365 groups. And SharePoint will take me to any SharePoint at UNB site libraries that may have become connected. I also have this plain OneDrive option, which tells me to sign up or sign in. This option will connect a personal OneDrive account. Remember that these are separate from your UNB OneDrive accounts. You may have a personal account through a home version of Office 365, a previous OneDrive or SkyDrive account, or another situation. In general, you should not save any UNB related files to a personal OneDrive. Do not use this option if you are trying to save to your UNB OneDrive. You may also find that you don't see the place that you want to save to. So for example, I click on my OneDrive and I don't see the folder I want to save to. I'd want to think, have I actually set up a sync with OneDrive? And if I did I include the folder that I actually want to save this file to in my sync? If I didn't, I may want to consider saving this file and then moving it or uploading it into OneDrive. Or if it's something that really should be saved directly to OneDrive, I should go back, add the folder to my sync, and then save the file. If you're looking at SharePoint and not seeing your exact site library, it's worth considering the fact that best practice is to actually create new documents in the SharePoint document library where they belong, or uploading or moving your file directly into SharePoint, rather than trying to save through this feature. And the main reason for that is that you may not see the site and library you want, and most sites by default have a document library that's called shared documents, so it can be really hard to tell exactly which site you're trying to save to. If your file has any confidential or sensitive information, this is not a place where you want to be making a mistake. So best practice, create or upload directly to the document library rather than through this tool. So to recap, there are many options for data storage at UNB, and the exact options that are available to you will vary and will be unique for every individual. If you're feeling overwhelmed, these tools will be getting easier and more accessible. If you're feeling overwhelmed, these tools will be getting easier and more accessible over time as our services mature, and we will be rolling out more tools to help make things easier. For now, we invite you to explore these new services with us. If you would like some more information, check out our ITS Tidbits blog for our new O365 series. The OneDrive blog post is available now, but we do have a series of upcoming topics. You can also contact the IT Service Desk at itservicedesk@unb.ca with any questions you may have, or visit Microsoft's Office 365 help and training site, support.office.com. Thank you for taking a look at our presentation. I hope it was helpful.